Time now for Better Money Boston, here with Joel Johnson, managing partner at Johnson Brunetti. Joel, 40% of women identify themselves as beginners when it comes to investors. What should women like me be doing differently?
Yeah, and this really hits home for me because, you know, Wendy and I talk a lot about money, and she just doesn't really want to know. She just wants to know we have enough coming in so she can do the things that we want to do, and we're not going to run out of money. But she takes very little interest in how money is invested. So I think, number one, because women tend to live longer, they need to take a much more in-depth interest, let's say, in their financial future.
Okay, so you want to get involved. You need to know more, and that longevity piece really is key. And this is where strategies are so important.
Well, that's correct, because if we're going to live an extra 10 or 20 years, let's say, again, Wendy is going to live an extra 10 or 20 years, because statistically, she's going to live at least 7 years longer than I am. She's got to figure out probably a way to give herself raises as she lives longer, right? If inflation's at 3%, we've got to get an extra 3% of income pretty much every year, and that may be way past age 90.
How do you know? How can you give yourself those raises, especially when we don't know what inflation will do over time?
Well, if we're getting Social Security, then obviously Social Security has a cost of living increase. It was pretty big last year, but for a while it was pretty flat. But overall, it should track with the rate of inflation. We've got to use that model and take our investments and give ourselves raises also. So we can kind of keep an eye on what inflation is, and people don't need to listen to the federal government about that. They can just pay attention to what gasoline and groceries cost and so on, and then make sure that our investment plan gives us an income increase of about that approximate amount. And we like to use about 3 to 3.5% when we do our financial planning.
All right, and this is true for everyone, but you say especially for women, given the points that you shared with us today, women should get involved in their finances.
Absolutely. Sooner or later, they're going to have to get involved. Again, statistically, they're going to live longer than their spouses if they're married. And so they've got to take a deeper, they've got to take the wheel. They've got to start steering this thing, because sooner or later, they're going to have to.
Indeed. All right, ladies, you heard them. You've got a great book for us. It's a free book today. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, it's a woman's financial guide to empowerment, a woman's guide to financial empowerment to make sure that they get the maximum out of their retirement plan and they can take charge.
All right, get it today. BetterMoneyBoston.com. Again, that's BetterMoneyBoston.com.